you're listening to Food Rebels, a brand new radio show and podcast dedicated to food founders, challenger brands, and people in food and drink who are doing things a bit differently. I'm AJ Sharp, the show host. I'm a taste expert, food writer, great taste food judge, and business owner. And I'm delighted to be joined by Susie Pelter, who is no stranger to TV and radio. Welcome. Can you tell us a little bit about how you got into food, Susie?
I can. Thank you for having me, first of all. I'm really excited to be here. So I got into TV 11 years ago when I won Lorraine's Cake Club competition on the Lorraine Kelly Show with my chocolate and banana cake with peanut butter frosting.
Ooh,
and
lovely.
I kind of went from not really knowing what I wanted to do, but knowing I loved food, to thankfully getting some opportunities in the food industry and taking everyone that came my way. And so here I am today, great taste judge like you, brand consultant, demo chef, recipe writer, lots and lots of different things to do with food.
Yeah, really exciting. You should follow Susie if you find her on Instagram. Very exciting. Now, this week's show is very exciting. Not only is it our inaugural show, but it's going to be about British companies that have a US influence. And we're going to kind of, some really exciting experts in the show. So we're going to be meeting Charlie Phillips from Morty Bobs. Hi, Charlie.
Hi there.
And Billy Eriksson from Brewing Brothers. Hi.
Hi.
Welcome to the show. So let's start with Charlie. Can you tell us a little bit about Morty Bobs for people who've never come across you before?
Yeah, Morty Bobs is a London-based all-day dining, kind of British-American style brasserie, but it's also somewhere you can kind of grab a coffee and hang out with a bunch of people or hang out by yourself, do a bit of work. It's kind of it's just an all time of day sort of venue. There's three. There's one in King's Cross in Coal Drops Yard in London. There's another one in Kensal Rise, and then we've got a third, slightly out there version in Westfield Shopping Centre.
Which one?
Shepherd's Bush.
Oh, in Shepherd's Bush. I used to live near there.
Yeah, which is quite different, but still the same style food and kind of successful in its own realm of shopping centre world.
Fun.
Yeah.
So is it the kind of place you go and you could end up staying all day? Or?
Yeah, that tends to happen. It's which is both good and bad. It's a good feeling that people want to spend all that time there, but sometimes it's having people there all day long. It can be not great for business. But if we're not busy at certain times, we love people spending lots of time there working. And the thing is, if people are there long enough, they have to eat.
Yeah, of course.
They end up getting through the coffees and through the menu. So, yeah, it's good.
Oh, it sounds amazing. And Billy, can you tell us a little bit about Brewing Brothers and the kind of empire you're building there?
Yeah, of course. So Brewing Brothers started originally in a pub in Hastings. It was an old pub, brewery behind the bar, wood-fired pizza oven. We kept it really simple. Order at the bar, we'll bring it over. And we were there for 5 years, and then COVID happened. And by the time we came out of COVID, we had another restaurant on the seafront. And then we also had a much bigger brewery up on the ridge in Hastings, which we've now got a tap room in as well. And then we now also got a beachside restaurant in Folkestone,
cool.
which is our newest venture, which is really exciting. It's our biggest one yet.
Oh, Folkestone's so cool. You near the harbour arm?
We're on the harbour.
You're on the harbour arm.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
it's amazing
the
down there.
beachside area of it, which is it's really exciting. It was a big push to get it open, but it's
Because it's such a foodie hub down there now, isn't it?
Yeah,
There's like hundreds of really cool restaurants and independent outlets along there.
Food, beer, everything. It's a really cool place. We're really happy to be a part of it, to be honest. So
Amazing, cool. And you've brought all sorts of exciting looking things into the studio for us.
I got the memo last minute, so I ran down to our Courtyard restaurant this morning.
Cool.
Grab some pasta, grab some sausage that we make ourselves, grab some beers. I thought we could have a taste.
We'll have a little party in here, can't we? This looks great.
Great.
Amazing. Well, should we start with that? Is that nuts?
No.
Shall I pass some beer around?
Yeah, let's start with beer.
Okay.
Why not?
How else
Very
would you
good
start?
idea.
Okay. There we go.
So which beer is this? Can you tell us a little bit about it?
I can tell you a lot about this one, actually. This is the Reforestation. We basically use this beer as a catalyst to sort of develop our sustainability arm. So we wanted to make a beer. The brewing industry can be quite, wasteful, uses a lot of energy. So we want to find ways of reducing that and being more full circle. So with every keg of this beer sold, we plant a tree. We plant the trees ourselves near the brewery. I think so far we've done 750 trees.
Oh, wow.
We use the help of the Woodland Trust to advise us on what's
it's
going
a
to be
great
best for that
charity,
area, and so that's great. And then we also
This is your pale ale?
yeah, so this is a 4% pale ale. It also uses only local ingredients. The barley comes from Sussex. The hops come from Kent. The barley's malted in the closest maltster to us, which happens to be in Wiltshire. So yeah, we're basically just trying to use it as a way to develop the business into a more sustainable practice.
Yeah,
basically.
awesome.
Cool can as well.
It's really
Yes.
cool.
Yes, that was designed by Ned and Charlie, who are the brothers, their sister.
Oh, okay.
She does a lot of our artwork. We also, with all our cans, we tried to use a different local artist for every can, basically.
Oh, is that? I love the pictures on the side. They're all really
beautiful.
unique.
That one's going to be a bit of a project piece. So the trees on it, they'll continue to grow and grow
Oh, really?
as
time goes by.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
That's the coolest.
I think that's the first one. But yeah,
And it's a lovely beer, isn't it?
It's really light.
yeah,
Really kind of summery. You
Yeah.
could just imagine actually being on the beach, which
yeah.
sounds gorgeous.
And it's got a grapefruit nose, and then kind of really lovely
Yeah,
malty flavours come out to that.
Yeah, the citrus elements are, I think, what's giving it that summery flavour. But it's very malty.
But it's got a
but-
touch of sweetness to it. It's really delicious beer.
oh, thank you.
And what's the other one? I'd like to try that one.
The
too.
other one, shall I open that one up?
Has that got like a hillside on the side of the...
So this is actually a new design. This is we originally named all our beers after famous brothers, being the Brewing Brothers, and this was originally called the Gallaghers.
Excellent.
But after we had a little incident with, spilled a bit there, with one of the, well, I won't mention who it was, but a band. They didn't like that we were using their name, and so we decided to move away from that. So we've rebranded everything. So this is OG, which is originally Gallagher's.
Clever.
Thank you.
That
There we go.
design is done by a friend of Ned's, who is one of the brothers. And this is probably one of our more popular beers. It's a 6% IPA.
Really fruity nose.
Really fruity, yeah. So there's one hop in this, which is Mosaic, my favourite. And we use that in a
You get
few
those
of our
tropical
beers.
fruit notes,
Yeah,
don't you?
exactly.
And it's on the nose, but it translates to the palate really
Yeah.
beautifully.
You get a lot of caramel, sort of malt notes in the mouthfeel as well.
I
so
could drink a lot of that.
Yeah.
That is lovely.
Me too. Me too.
people do, and then they don't for a while.
Okay, gotcha.
6%, right?
Yeah, 6% that one. Yeah,
Yeah, you only need a couple of pints of that.
Yeah, that's it. Mm. So yeah, those are two of our beers, our more popular ones.
That's amazing. So you're making that in Folkestone,
We're making that in Hastings actually.
in Hastings?
So that's my job. I'm the head brewer, and yeah. So we started on a little 400 litre kit behind the bar at the Imperial. Now we're brewing 2,800 litres a time in a much bigger setting up on the
Brilliant.
ridge in Hastings. So yeah,
And where can people get hold of it?
all our restaurants online through our website. We're starting to branch out into our wholesale arm now. So all over really.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Cool. So watch out for that. The Brewing Brothers. That's amazing. Yeah. And there's some other delicious looking things that I think we should taste before they either get too cold or too warm.
Let's definitely eat the pasta first, shall we? That's our rigatoni. We make the pasta daily, fresh. This is just in our courtyard restaurant, which is down on the seafront. And that's my favourite shape. I love rigatoni. And that is just semolina and water.
Oh, wow.
And we do that with a couple of different dishes. We tried to mix up all the shapes. We've got fusilli longhi and rigatoni. We make tagliatelle, and with the tagliatelle we use fresh eggs from the brewery. We have chickens up at the brewery, which are fed off some of the spent grain.
Oh, cool.
So we're trying to keep everything full circle and bring it all back around. So
there's no alcohol in the grain, I'm assuming.
Well, if you leave it
If you
long
get
enough,
drunk
I'm sure there will be. Yeah, exactly. So that's that, and then the sausage we got there is Dan is our executive chef. He's been with us since the beginning. He's a really talented bloke. Yeah, I'll have some. Yeah, I love it.
Wow, that's really good.
So that's the pigs that made this sausage are mangalitzers, and they are fed on our spent grain as well. So the farmer comes and picks up the grains from the brewery, feeds the pigs, and every now and then he brings us some meat. We make things like salami or sausage or...
Wow, the flavours in that are really rich.
Super tender as well. It's quite soft.
It's quite loose.
Yeah.
But coarse cut, but it's really delicious. Really, really long flavour.
Yeah, it's really good.
Kind of
it's an amazing
fennel
breed.
and all sorts of things going on
fennel
in there.
That's Dan's special. His grandmother, or his nonna's recipe.
Oh, really? Amazing.
Yeah.
That's so good. Do you guys serve pasta and things on your menu?
We have a kind of, we've sort of got a all-rounder menu. We do actually have a pasta dish on the moment, quite summery, chorizo and prawn linguine. And we always tend to have a pasta on. But the whole point of our menu is that we've got something for everyone when they come in. So we don't make our own pasta, but there's normally one knocking about on one of the menus somewhere.
Isn't it
Pasta
also,
being one of my staple things that I eat.
Isn't it also true that it's all about the grilled cheese as well?
That's how we started, yeah. We
Yeah.
started as a street food company 10 years ago this October, actually. Just serving grilled cheese sandwiches on various London market stalls and then festivals. And that sort of slowly developed over time into all-day brunch and then all-day dining and then our cocktail bar and things like that. So yeah, but the origins are, cheesy fields.
And did that, I mean, it sounds to me like quite a US influence. And I think that's why we kind of wanted to talk about that a little bit. Did that come from a US influence at all?
I was born in America in
were
Washington,
you?
D.C.
No
and had a pretty much 50% diet of grilled cheese.
Amazing.
Growing up. Quite different to the grilled cheese we make. Sort of craft singles and very white processed bread. Still delicious. Time and a place for that. Not at Morty and Bobs, but so I mean, I was a chef and was working through London restaurants and had this idea to sort of get out of being a chef in London, which was pretty brutal, and wanting to start my own kind of food business and just had this idea of kind of creating the ultimate grilled cheese with my partner at the time and getting out of our jobs and applying to a bunch of festivals and trying to sell it in fields around the country. And
so what makes the ultimate?
I was
grilled
literally
cheese?
just going to ask that as well. Anyone got a pen?
This is top secret information, guys. It took a while to get to our what we call our straight up recipe, which is our classic that we still serve today. And there's, rather than kind of go through the ingredients, because the ingredients are, you can choose whatever you want to go in a grilled cheese. It's more about how you're doing it and the kind of style of making it kind of that gourmet version of something that could be pretty basic. I'm sure we've all sort of got the Breville out and made some late night basic grilled cheese. But I'd say the main thing is stale bread.
Stale bread.
Yeah, not like weird stale. We're not talking kind of blue and black, but we're talking 2-3 days old because it kind of holds its shape. And as your cheese melts and your ingredients melts and lets off steam and liquid, it sort of that shape holding is really important.
That's smart.
That does make
It kind
sense.
of keeps a thicker grilled cheese, and also because the edges are harder and stale, they crisp up a lot better when they hit, hot fat. Butter
And is
or
it too
something
top secret to ask if you make it? Do you make it in a grill or do you make it? Because some American friends of mine make it in a frying pan.
Yeah, that's how we always made them growing up. It was always in a frying pan, and I think that's a great way of doing it. But just for speed in the restaurants, we have these special Roband grills, which are this Australian company, and they make this sort of perfect, very thick base and very thick top. sandwich press essentially, so we can grill from both sides at the same time. But yeah, no, traditionally you'd have that sort of hot iron and you'd let that get hot, and then and that would act as a weight as well. You put the sandwich in and then flip it. And I mean, that's good because as everything kind of comes out of the sandwich around the sides, you then sort of flip it and all that cheese and ingredients kind of hug that sandwich and then suddenly hit the hot grill again. So it's allowed either way.
Amazing. So on your menu, do you have several different cheese toasty related?
Yeah, we do. It's there's some classics that we can't really get rid of, and when we try,
there's an uproar. Kensal Rise.
There's a bit of uproar.
Pitchforks at the door.
The mushroom and truffle grilled cheese is.
I really want that now.
It's pretty good. I'm sorry I didn't bring any here.
Well, it's quite hard for you, really, to bring food from a restaurant in.
Yeah. I mean, I try and refrain from doing anything with grilled cheese that isn't on site because they're just the best fresh off the grill.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So, and bringing around one of those big grills for me is not ideal. But yeah, no. So at the moment we've got an andouille and red pepper grilled cheese. We've got the mushroom and truffle. We've got the classic straight up. We just for the other night for an event we did a manchego and fig.
Oh wow!
Grilled cheese, and that was like that kind of blew my mind, which is sort of
salty and sweet.
Yeah, it was great. It was really good.
Oh, I love manchego.
So there's always a few, but we've got so much more on the menu now. But it's a bit of a staple. There was a time when I was trying to edge away from being the cheese guy.
I was going to say, are you a bit of a cheese expert now?
I'm not. I'm actually not. It's. I mean, I love cheese and I love learning about cheese, but I'd say I'm a grilled cheese expert for sure, but I'm not a sort of, what would be a classic kind of cheese?
You're not going to be going to the World Cheese Awards as a judge this year?
No, I don't think so.
Didn't get the invite.
No, I don't think so. Grilled cheese awards, if there are some, I'm here, I'm ready.
And if anyone's listening, I'm also here and ready for that too. Yeah. That sounds great.
Does sound good. I'm sure we'd be an absolute asset to that.
I 100% think so, yeah. Which other kind of American foods from your childhood have you brought over to Morty Bobs or?
I mean, we've always got a great burger on the menu, and we use a fantastic butcher, I'm sure you all know, H.G. Walter, who makes and prepares fantastic meats across our menu, but specifically their burger. H.G. Walter was introduced to me by a friend of mine, Joe, who owns Patty and Bun, which is a great burger restaurant. And as soon as we went to them and started testing all their meats and stuff, we were just like, this is where we're gonna base ourselves for a little while. So yeah, there's always a really amazing burger on the menu, and then steaks. We always have 2 or 3 steaks as well. I mean, we don't really see ourselves as an American restaurant, but certainly that sort of New York vibe of that kind of. I mean, it's hard to sort of explain what that is over there because it's sort of French, it's kind of Italian, it's sort of American, it's British. It's those sort of New York taverns and sort of saloons that are just all day dining, that kind of Balthazar-esque Minetta tavern sort of, I mean, basically anything that Keith McNally has started over in New York is kind of where we take a bit of influence from. So yeah, and the menu changes. So it can be, we can have all sorts of kind of American-ish dishes on, but I think it's hard to actually figure out what American food is in a way. It's such a vast country.
Yeah.
It's so vast and so many different kind of spice palettes and flavors across the whole region.
Exactly.
It's like Texan barbecue is completely different to barbecue in a different area. And I remember my husband going out there for some army thing and getting 4 days to travel around and just being like, we went as far as we could and had as many different barbecues as we possibly could. Okay, cool.
It's key to note there's a lot of bad food in America as well. Yeah. So it's where you find those good little pockets, it's pretty amazing when you do.
And the quantities to us is quite, I mean, everything in America is huge, right? Isn't it?
Yeah.
Cars are bigger, roads are bigger,
Especially in
malls are
Texas.
bigger.
Food
Especially in
portions.
Texas.
Yeah, and food portions are definitely bigger as well.
I do remember being a kid and being given like a child's spaghetti bolognese and just bursting into tears. I ate like a fly back then and I was like, I can't eat this.
Oh, I think I would have managed that.
I feel like after a trip there, you just feel, I don't know, quite
Like
gross.
you need a run.
When you come back, yeah. Put any portion delivered to you in a restaurant, it's just like, wow, that's just for me.
And sweeter. I just remember like cereals, everything just tasting so much sweeter than it does. Yeah. And we've got, I think we've got quite a sweet palate comparative to a lot of Europe that has a lot less sugar in their diet. But
even the Coca-Cola over there is different. You know what I mean? You have one Coca-Cola in America and it's like, I feel awful after. But
give me more.
Yeah. But it's like you were saying about the grilled cheese sandwich. I mean, the bread is sweeter, the cheese is bright yellow as well, and it's it is different. And as you're right, it has its place. But it seems like you've kind of upgraded that a little bit for.
Yeah, it's hard to find a sort of gourmet grilled cheese in the States. The grilled cheese is very much that kind of nostalgic childhood. There's a few places. There's a place called the Melt Shop in New York, which is a chain of kind of gourmet grilled cheese style. But it's quite hard to find that posh grilled cheese sandwich, basically.
I think we're so lucky in the UK, aren't we, though? This sort of artisanal food revolution that's been going on for the last 15 years of so many people making things themselves, really going back to the roots because of the sustainability, because of the flavor, because provenance was a really big push. And I think you're really seeing now the secondary, tertiary effects of that kind of process, aren't you? Where, when you were describing your beer and you're saying everything's locally sourced and it's made by these people because they do it the best. I really feel like we're embracing that culture, which is, everyone always talks about the French being really good at it. I think the Italians, the Spanish, everyone are really good at having kind of regional foods and being really proud of them and working really hard to make the best cheese, to make the best whatever it might be in that area. Yeah. And I think, it's obviously been a choice for you in your business, hasn't it?
Yeah, no, absolutely. We really, we like to bang the drum of, hyper seasonality with our food. The menu's ever changing in all the places, especially we have weekly specials on everywhere that, Dan and I both are quite keen foragers. So we'll always be out, looking for whatever we can find that'll feature on the pizza or the pasta. We have like a brewery garden where we grow our own veg. So that's always finding its way into the specials as well. So yeah, we love provenance, like you said.
It's cool, but you've also got a kind of US theme, haven't you? I was reading something on your website.
Yeah. This is so it's kind of the where the idea came from.
The influence, maybe. Yeah.
Because over here it's all pubs, or bars, I guess. But Ned and Charlie, who are the brothers, they went over to the States back in 2014, 2015. And they did a trip. They started it was all in California. And they basically just loved the idea that when you go into a bar, you weren't just going to bars, you go into breweries, where they had a bar. And the brewer was sort of championed and you could see everything on display. It's almost a theatre of it as well. So when they came back, they thought they were sort of running their dad's pub at the time in a country in sort of near where we live, and they thought we need to do our own thing here. Let's try and do that. Let's brew. So and that's where I came in. I had worked with them previously at their dad's pub, and they said, do you want to come give us a hand? And I said, yeah. I'll do some homebrew. I'll give it a go.
Cool.
And really learn on the job. And now we're brewing some semi-decent beer. So
very decent beer.
Yeah.
I was just going to ask about that. Just kind of, you've mentioned a couple of times your Italian brother Dan.
So Dan. Dan, that was a funny story as well. Actually, when we were first renovating the Imperial, which is the pub we started in, Dan was just walking up the road, and I think he just moved to Hastings from New Zealand, and he said, "Oh, have you got any jobs going?" And we sort of handed him a paintbrush and an angle grinder and said, "Yeah, crack on. We really need to get this done." And then one Friday after, finishing up, having a few beers on the scaffolding, and he said, "Who's going to be a pizza chef?" And we said, "Well, that's actually a really good question. We don't know." And he said, "Well, I'm a pizza chef."
No way.
Why didn't you mention that before? You know, it's like, he just stepped into the role and he's been with us ever since. So yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Perfect pairing as well.
Yeah, pizza and beer. Yeah, can't go wrong.
Yeah.
Not the paintbrush and grinder.
No, I did think that too.
So what's next for you guys?
I'm trying to get up to a stage where we are going from 3 sites to sort of 6 or 7, and then that's the kind of goal that I want to.
All across London or further afield?
We've been looking further afield. Did a recce in Bristol the other day, Brighton a couple of months ago.
Hastings is cool.
Hastings, perhaps. Yes, let's talk more about that after. Yeah, that's the idea. It's just to kind of get it to. I mean, this is all a bit accidental. It's this whole street food thing was to kind of get out of that everyday job.
Yeah.
And then we set up this first sort of brunch cafe in Hackney. That was to get out of street food. We got a bit tired of putting things in the back of a van and taking things out of a van and
Having to park and get a license and
I mean,
all of the stuff.
Just basically 10 days in a field in Somerset and not knowing if you're going to sell a load of grilled cheese or a little bit of grilled cheese, more likely in the rain. I mean, it was great while it was all happening, but it was all these sort of moments. And then our lease was coming to an end in this first cafe after 3 years. And I sort of thought, well, it's either go hard now or probably go back into the world of cooking and get a job. And just really pushed hard to try and find some investment and finally got our investors on board who sort of gave us enough money to open 3 sites and have just given us a load more to open another 2 or 3. So it's kind of gradually got to this quite organic stage now, and I don't want to push it too hard. I don't want to kind of grow really quickly, but keen to get to 5 or 6 sites under that same kind of all-day dining, casual hangout brand.
Cool.
And then see what happens next. We're not sure.
That sounds amazing. And how about for you? What's next?
Well, having just opened Folkestone,
You're concentrating on that for now.
Yeah, we're gonna get everything up to speed, and the summer's crazy, so we're just trying to get back on track really. But we're always looking to future expansion, and we're going to take a breather for a sec. But it's not to say we won't be coming back with something at some point in the future.
Excellent. Yeah. Well, that's really cool. So if you're in London, you've got to go and check out Morty and Bobs. And if you're in Folkestone or Hastings, then you've got to go and check out the Brewing Brothers. Thanks so much for coming in, guys. It's been really great to have you on the show. And thank you very much, Susie.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, no worries. You've been listening to Food Rebels. We broadcast live at 5 every Wednesday through radio shows and stations around the UK and further afield, as well as podcasting apps, all the usual ones, iTunes, Spotify, Audible, whatever one you've got on your phone. If you're interested to appear on the show, please do get in touch on hello@foodrebels.co.uk, as we'd love to hear from you, especially if you've got a rebellious story to tell us.